What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Into the Squared Circle podcast. I'm your host, GBs, and no, it's not another episode of Into the Squared Circle podcast. It is post WWE Elimination Chambers episode edition. And yes, we will talk about the show. Yes, the matches are done. The show is done. And hell, I'm done because I'm tired. But I'm not done just yet because we're going to review all the matches and what went down early this morning. I know it went down, 4 o'clock Central Time in the morning. My ass was sleeping. Ain't happening. But I did watch a show a couple hours after. Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your thoughts and opinions. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button, and drop it in the comments section. If you're listening to this through the podcast, yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, X, Into the Square Circle podcast. Hit the follow, hit the like, join the conversation. I do have an X poll, not a stripper poll, an X poll. Did you enjoy the Elimination Chambers? And so far, good positive feedback coming out of it. You still have time to join me. And also podcasts, right? Podcast form, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. I'm not sure if I said that or not, but yes, it's an audio format. So if you're driving, you're fucking out shopping, working out in the gym, you need a wrestling podcast that's independent, that's badass, just like me. Hit the subscribe, man. Hit the follow. Join the family. Join the family, baby. And as a fan of pro wrestling, you're a fan of pro wrestling. Let's talk about it, baby. And follow me on Patreon, patreon.com/Into the Square Circle podcast. $1.99 a month. You are an executive control, man. You choose your topic. You choose what you want to talk about on the bonus content of the Patreon. Okay, I don't choose it. You do. You want to do trivia? We can do some trivia. You want to talk about old school wrestling from any company or territories? $1.99 a month will get you that opportunity, that control power. People pop, don't, I'm not going to go there. You choose what you want to talk about, and your name's on the credit and the podcast. Your name will be featured on the credits of the YouTube right here on YouTube in the video. So $1.99, you can't beat that, man. And what other podcast will give you full freedom control? There's no writers, right? There's no 15 Hollywood writers behind me making scripts. Not one guy locked up in the boardroom and you're waiting outside knocking on the door to talk to me. None of that shit, man. You're in control, baby. Not AEW, the Wild West. Do stupid shit, but you choose what you want to do. $1.99 a month. You are in control. All right, I'm gonna shut up because I talk too much. Let's talk about WWE Elimination Chambers right here on Into the Squared Circle podcast. Here we go. All right, let's talk about WWE Elimination Chambers. If you live in the United States and Europe, wee early's in the morning, you probably had coffee, orange juice, and breakfast watching wrestling. Ah, yes, the good old times. But unless you're like me and you work second shift and you come home at midnight and you finally go to sleep at 1 in the morning, ain't happening. My ass was sleeping, but I did watch it as I got up. And the show concluded, of course. It was a damn near 4-hour show, and I didn't want to spend half of my day watching 4 hours of wrestling, but I watched it, right? So at least I can enjoy my rest of my Saturday. So here we go. Leading up to the Elimination Chambers, we had the big press conference. Was it this past Thursday or whatnot? I heard Triple H fall on his ass. That was pretty funny. Speaking of Triple H, the Wrestling Observer, you know the Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer, the very smart guy, a very guy who liked to tell the truth behind the scenes. Yeah, you know I'm fucking full of crap. But you know, the Wrestling Observer did a yearly poll, and I didn't know that their yearly polls in February of every year. But this year's Booker of the Year, and I gotta say, TK. Tony Khan, I'm sorry, man, you didn't get it this year. What, the third or fourth executive of the year in a row? Not Tony, Triple H, Paul Triple H Levesque, or Triple Paul. He is the Booker of the Year. And WWE dominated the Wrestling Observer of all the categories this year. And I mean, why not? They're in a hot streak right now. They are taking over the world, setting the world on fire internationally, domestically, in your living room, in the bedroom, in the back of your car. Okay, we're getting too wild here, but you know what I mean. Yeah, Triple H, Booker of the Year. How about that? So Tony Khan's probably at home burning WWE magazines in his burning pile in the backyard. But you know what? Is what it is. Well deserving. And WWE is just blazing, baby. They are blazing. And on top of that, uh, news were going around that apparently the Elimination Chamber, you know, the actual cage itself, was shipped from the WWE warehouses or headquarters. I believe they're based out on the East Coast. If you know, right, if you know or not, you know, a lot of these entertaining companies or you like musicians, right, who like to travel the gear, you know, their stage equipment across country, like Taylor Swift. Everybody loves Taylor Swift, right? And you know, the whole Eras tour she's doing. Yeah, she takes what she's touring here in the United States and she tours it in Japan. She tours it in Australia. Like, I think she's in Australia right now. So she brings the whole damn tour, you know, the stage equipment and the LED boards, and they put that shit on a cargo ship, and then they go whole around the whole world. They travel across sea. They bring what they bring here in the United States, and they bring it over there to Europe, you know, South America, you know, Australia, Japan. So WWE does the same system, right? They put on a cargo ship and they send it off across the seas. And I guess my understanding, the routing of the boat that was taking the chamber, I guess they went through the Egypt Canal. I'm not sure. I'm not a official uh, Pacific Atlantic boating expert here, but I guess the routing to get the ship to Australia, because it's in Western Australia, coming from. I guess my assumption is coming from the East Coast where it was docked, and I guess they came across a bunch of pirates.
Triple H and Shawn Michaels, you had 3 words for us. Are you ready? Well, we have 3 words for you. Go yourself.
No, not Captain Hook, not, you know, Captain Jack Sparrow, on the Black Pearl. You know, but look like Brian Danielson with a damn hat on, a parrot on his shoulder. I mean, like the Somalian pirates, you know, on the coast of Africa. You know, they hijack. Well, there was a movie. There's a movie out there that was based off of that where they hijacked a boat. Was a Tom Hanks movie? I'm not can't remember what it was, but there's a movie out there where you know, those legit pirates who, well, you know, hey, we're gonna take over this damn boat, you know, and they're hold hostage and whatever it is. The boat that was carrying the chamber decided to make a U-turn, head back to the United States. I think they went down to Florida. They docked in Miami, and so they had to reroute a different strategy. And I guess they, you know, took the boat to Sydney, Australia, which is on the eastern coast of Australia. So Perth is in one end, Sydney and Brisbane is on like a whole different end of Australia. I know I'm giving you guys a continent map education here, but you know they're on both different sides of the country. So I guess they took the train and took the chamber in the train and took it on the railroad and you went cross country to Perth. So they finally got it there and it's all set up. So thank God we have the chamber there. But man, I can't imagine the nightmare of logistical when it comes to transporting a giant ass chamber cage across country. I think that's why they try to avoid doing these big shows across the world, but it's well worth it. And by the way, 52,000 people crammed inside the giant ass stadium. So it's well worth the fans over there. They don't get this kind of stuff out there. So, good for them, man. I'm glad they're getting these special kind of shows out there in Australia. So I hope they had a great time as always. So on my previews and predictions, I said it was 4 matches. They added a fifth one because that's what they like to do. They like to add shit the day before. And they added a pre-show. So we will talk about the pre-show right now. The Kabuki Warriors will face Candice LeRae and Australians' own Indy Hartwell, who had a nice pop. The Kabuki Warriors put the WWE Tag Team Champions on the line. Again, it was a solid match, but Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, they fell short. And the Kabuki Warriors managed to escape away with the women's tag team champions. With the big massive pop of hometown hero, Indy Hartwell. She had a nice little reaction at the very end. She had her flowers at the very end. So, but it was a solid match. It was a pre-show match. If you give a rat's ass on time, it was 8 minutes and 55-second match. By the way, the pre-show, they were in the studio. A lot of these premium live events pre-shows, they were, they have the desk out in the crowd, or like here in Chicago, the Survivor Series, they had a desk outside the parking lot. But for the pre-show, they were live from in studio and probably in Stamford, Connecticut. So it is what it is. All right, so that was the pre-show. So the show kicks off. Here we go. The premium live event. Now, prepare yourself for Elimination Chamber. They had no pyro, nothing. But nice shot of the crowd. Nice shot. I like the aerial shots. WWE is so good when it comes to that kind of productions. Unlike my janky production, like shit. They have the top-notch productions. I love the aerial views, man, with the pyro going off in the river. Man, just one of the best. And that's why I love about the WWE. They have the best of the best when it comes to camera shots, productions. The way they do stuff is just phenomenal. Good stuff, man. So the first match to kick off the Elimination Chamber is obviously the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Raquel Rodriguez, and Tiffany Stratton. So I won't break down the match too much. I was surprised. Raquel Rodriguez, she got a lot of boos. She was treated like she was a damn monster in the ring. No, she came back this past Monday and she had a lot of cheers. She was a babyface. People were excited. But then she showed up at the Elimination Chamber and she was like a damn monster. The way she conquered the women in the ring, she was phenomenal. But she was getting booed a lot. Naomi was the first female to get eliminated in the chamber, so I was disappointed, but is what it is. The unsung hero of the match, the one female that stood out in the women's elimination chamber was Tiffany Stratton. Yeah, you're like, what? Tiffany Stratton? Yeah, you know what? I thought she was gonna be like a Barbie, another diva, all pretty up diva, and she got in the ring, and again, don't judge a cover by its book because watching her in the ring, she was phenomenal. She was great. She was on top of the pod, jumping off. She was phenomenal, man. The way she did shit in the ring, she was great. And I got to say, I'm looking forward to more of her in ring work from Tiffany Stratton. But she did get eliminated, of course. And she got eliminated. And I'm trying to play back everything in my mind, which goes out my brain really quick. And long story short, I think the final two or final three was Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, which I talked about in my previews and prediction. Those are the top two women I expected. I think Liv Morgan was the final three. But I thought it was a pretty decent Chambers match. But of course, Becky Lynch won. Was it predictable? Was it? Um, I said that 32 minutes and 15-second match. And as I'm looking at the guys, okay, that was longer. That was the longest match in the card here. Um, yeah, Becky Lynch won, so she's gonna face the potential Rhea Ripley or Nia Jax, which was the main event. How about that? The main event of the premium live event. But we will get to it shortly. But Becky Lynch won. And it was pretty obvious, right? It was pretty obvious between right down the line between her and Bianca. But I had a good feeling Becky will win, and it was my pick, and good for her, and congratulations. She's on her way to WrestleMania. By the way, this is the final stop. The final stop before WrestleMania. I know we got the whole damn month of Raw and SmackDown, but this is the last premium live event show before WrestleMania. So this is it, man. The next stop is WrestleMania in Philadelphia on the East Coast. So good for them. So let's talk about the next match here. This is for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, the Judgment Day. Finn Balor, Damian Priest versus the New Catch Republic. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. It was a pretty good match, 17 minutes and 25-second match. I dig Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. They had a great chemistry as a tag team. Both teams looked great. Damian Priest looks like a badass. I'm a big fan of his. Finn Balor, again, great guy. Dirty Dom, he tried to cut a promo in the ring, and you got 52,000 people booing his ass out of not booing his ass out of there just yet, but man, the sound was deafening. It was deafening. Dominic Mysterio. Now, if you watch this match, they blacked out. They blacked out here at home on television. They blacked it out during the match. And I'm like, okay, they're having technical difficulties here. And it was like maybe 10 seconds, 12 seconds of the screen going black. And I'm like, what's going on here? But you can hear the audio, you can hear the match was going on. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I like to watch this match here. And the next the screen, the black came off, and then here we go. We got the match going on television. And I kind of found out that apparently fans are flicking off at Dirty Dom. Right? Give him the bird, telling him he's number one. Yeah, apparently Peacock doesn't like that, and they like to cut the screen off with fans flicking them off. Now, if you go over there in AEW land or TNA land, they'll show off the middle fingers. John Moxley's notorious for it, but apparently in WWE land, they're so strict on that they can't show middle fingers. So how about that? But eventually Dirty Dom trying to get involved in the match. The ref caught Dirty Dom, and they ended up injecting his ass out of the arena. Fans were losing their mind. But long story short, Damian Priest and Finn Balor defeated New Catch Republic, and by pinfall 1-2-3 for the win, and they retain the tag team titles. That was very obvious, right? I said that in my previous prediction. I don't see them dropping the titles. Let them carry it to WrestleMania. So I'll have to wait to see what their opponents will be at WrestleMania if they put their titles on the line. By the way, an 17 minutes and 25 seconds match. If you give Rat's ass on time here. All right, so after that, I believe we had the Grayson Waller effect after this match. And Grayson Waller, another Australian local hero, showed up with Austin Theory, and they hosted the Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. So, here we go. A talk show going on in Australia from Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller, it's like, okay, what's going on, guys, between you guys and The Rock and Roman Reigns? Seth Rollins was like, you know what? I got a big news here. Seth Rollins was like, you know what? I'm days away from being cleared from being injured and getting back in the ring. So I'm good to go for WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes grabbed the mic and he's like, you know what? I have big news as well. The Rock, I want to challenge you one-on-one anytime, any place, anywhere. That was it. And Seth Rollins was like, you know what, Cody? Yeah, man. You understand that you're dealing with the bloodline here. Think about that. So if there's no such thing as one-on-one, it's you versus the bloodline. That's what's gonna be. And he pat him on the shoulders, and that was it. So another tease from Seth Rollins. Say, hey, dude, you can't do this by yourself. So we got a whole damn month of them trying to do something here because there's going to be a Rock versus Cody in the near future. It has to be at Mania, especially if Seth Rollins has a championship date with someone who's going to win Elimination Chamber, which we'll talk about it shortly. Or somebody's going to be walking. Someone's going to be working double duty at WrestleMania. Somebody, Cody, Seth, or both, maybe working double duty in WrestleMania weekend. So big payday for them. But that's what came out of that segment. So we'll have to wait and see what's going on here with this. Again, we got a whole full month of WrestleMania, the road to WrestleMania storyline here. So, all right, let's talk about the men's Elimination Chambers match. By the way, this was a 36 minutes and 55-second match, the longest match on the show. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens versus LA Knight versus Logan Paul versus Randy Orton. So again, we're going to shorten this up here really quick. Great match, a great Elimination Chambers match, of course. The unsung hero in this match, the person that stood out, Bobby Lashley stood out. He was a powerhouse. I think he threw Logan Paul through the plexiglass of the pod. He threw Kevin Owens through the pod. He was great. Logan Paul, he was phenomenal. LA Knight was phenomenal. He had a nice little moment in the Elimination Chamber match. Sure enough, when here's something about this. Bobby Lashley got Claymore kicked by Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley was dominated. Just by one Claymore kick, Bobby Lashley got pinned and got eliminated just like that. Like 1, 2, 3. Bobby Lashley was eliminated. Like, just that's it. Like this big muscle mofo who was dominating just got eliminated by a Claymore kick by just like that. Wow. So as Bobby Lashley was slowly rolling out of the ring, the cage door was open. Well, apparently AJ Styles snuck into the cage, had a chair, and started beating the crap out of LA Knight. He was just pounding LA Knight with a chair like a madman. Eventually, all the referees and security kicked his ass out. And as they were ready to take the chair away from AJ Styles managed to get the chair back and gave LA Knight a Styles clash on LA Knight through the chair that was laying on the floor. And another lazy, sleazy way for Drew McIntyre to pin LA Knight to eliminate him. So you have Bobby Lashley and LA Knight being pinned by Drew McIntyre within minutes. And obviously LA Knight got taken down from AJ Styles. So it seemed like we're going to get something here leading up to WrestleMania. Styles versus LA Knight. So there's going to be something here going on. So we had that going on. Looking at the list here, Kevin Owens got pinned. And but the final three, sorry about that. I'm trying to think in my mind here. What was the final three? Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and Logan Paul. The final three. And Randy Orton looks like an absolute star, an absolute badass. Eventually, my favorite spot, and I love, again, I talked about the camera angles, the production, where Randy Orton got taken out, and he was playing off like he hurt his back in the match, right? He was on the floor, he had his hand around his back in pain. And there was Logan Paul, took out Drew McIntyre. So Logan Paul, he had his hand up in the air. He put his hands in his pants. He pulled out the brass knuckles. And then next thing you know, he was teasing the crowd with the brass knuckles in his hand, pumping it up. And out of nowhere, Randy Orton arcadoed uh, uh, Logan Paul. That was a great shot, man, because you didn't see Randy Orton on television. He just out of nowhere just RKO'd Logan Paul. That was great. Well, eventually he eliminated Logan Paul. So now there were two left. Drew McIntyre versus Logan Paul. That was a great little match here between both guys, both stars. Drew McIntyre looks like a badass. Same thing with Randy Orton. Long story short, Logan Paul never came out of the cage when he got eliminated. And he milked it, man. He was milking it, laying on the floor. And then out of nowhere, Logan Paul got in the ring and he sucker punched. He sucker punched Randy Orton in the face with the brass knuckles that he still had. And just like that, just like how he eliminated LA Knight, the sleazy way out, Drew McIntyre pinned Randy Orton and won the men's elimination chamber. Predictable, all right? Predictable. So far I got all these matches right. But the way and how he would win it, I didn't see it coming, man. I didn't see that he slid his way out through two eliminators by pinning LA Knight and by pinning Randy Orton, sleazing his way out with a little bit of help. So I thought that was interesting. He had a lot of heat. I'm talking about Drew McIntyre. A lot of heat by winning. And there we go. We're set for WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. It's happening. It's happening. All right, main event time. Rhea Ripley. Took me a while to get out of my mouth. Rhea Ripley. Wow, hometown hero. Man, if the Australian fans love her. 52,000 people just going nuts for her. It was a great moment. Her whole family was in the front row. Just she was emotional. She had a big smile on her face, pyro going everywhere. This was her moment. Her moment. And it was great to see Rhea main event in her home country with her family on the ringside defending the women's title. You don't get this very often. Against Nia Jax, who was heat. Just getting her ass booed. My favorite part in this match, fans were chanting, "My hole." My hole. My hole. If you don't know the history of that, go check it out on YouTube. It's hilarious. My hole. Chanting the Nia Jax. Rhea Ripley, man, she dominated. I mean, yeah, Nia Jax dominated throughout the match. And then I said it in my previews and prediction. This match might be interesting because there's going to be a lot of back and forth. Of course, Nia Jax is going to show her dominance. But Rhea Ripley's a badass, and she's going to show her dominance as well, with her power and strength. The way she picked up Nia Jax. She did the riptide. She did the riptide on Nia Jax. I know that she did a suplex from the turnbuckle, which was very impressive. The way they did the slow-mo of Rhea Ripley doing the riptide and watching her back arc. Man, just phenomenal. But she did the riptide on Nia Jax and pinned her 1, 2, 3, and a happy ending. 14 minutes and 35 seconds match. What a way to end the show. So overall, this was a great Elimination Chambers match. Was it worth getting up early in the morning? Probably not. And then I'm glad I watched later on. But it was a great show. It was a great show. Seemed like the Australian fans were happy. Hope you guys were happy. Drop it in the comment section of YouTube what matches you enjoyed the most, and maybe some of the predictions you had. Were you happy with it? With the outcome of this, the show was in general. And looking forward to Monday Night Raw, see what's the next step towards WrestleMania. So I'm excited. It's a great Elimination Chamber. Hopefully they'll do more Australian shows in the near future. And overall, it was 2 thumbs up, and I enjoyed it. So If you're listening on podcast land, let me know what you guys think. Facebook, X, Instagram, send me a DM. Leave it in the comments section throughout my post. What you guys thought about the Elimination Chamber. So it was a great show. I enjoyed it. But I am ready for WrestleMania. I'm not sure about you guys, but we're a month away. We're on the road to WrestleMania. But before we get there, we're going to hop over to AEW because Revolution is coming up March 3rd. And you guys are like, well, who gives a shit? Well, I give a shit because this is the Sting's final match. So this whole show is based around Sting, right? At Greensboro Coliseum, the legendary Greensboro Coliseum. So it's going to be special this coming Wednesday. Sting's final appearance on Dynamite. Watch it. Because enjoy while we have Sting around. And of course, Sting's final match at Revolution. So I can't wait for that. I'll have my previews and prediction in coming days for that as well. So a lot of wrestling, a lot of good stuff. And I heard Mustafa Ali won the TNA champion, I heard, or one of the titles over there in TNA land. So congrats to Mustafa, Chicago very own. So good for him, man. All right. That's it. Have a great rest of your weekend and happy wrestling. Be safe. Again, follow me on my socials, Facebook, X, Instagram, Into the Square Circle Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Join me on patreon.com/Into the Square Circle Podcast. $1.99 a month. You're an executive control seat. And follow me on my secondary podcast, A Lesson in Headbanging Podcast. If you're a fan of rock and heavy metal, the first episode of the year got dropped, talking about Slayer, AC/DC, Power Trip, the band. It's up right now, so go check it out here on YouTube and Podcasting Land. All right, until next time, my friends, happy wrestling and take care. Bye-bye, everybody.